Welcome to Module 1. Lesson 1, Why Guests Complain. Many operational managers in hospitality view customer complaints as the primary hazard of the job. This creates a dangerous assumption that a shift without vocal dissatisfaction means the operation ran flawlessly. The reality is that friction occurs constantly, but a large portion of the clientele falls into the category of the silent guest. People who experience a service failure but choose to say absolutely nothing. Instead of seeking out a staff member, they collect their belongings and walk right out of the building. Their silence is not a sign of satisfaction. Often, they feel embarrassed to make a scene. They are too hurried to wait for a manager, or they assume that voicing their issue simply won't change the outcome. The financial impact here is absolute. These guests depart, they do not return, and their entire lifetime value vanishes without a single data point to explain why. Compare that to the guest who actually approaches the front desk to grumble. Complaining requires time, effort, and a willingness to engage in an uncomfortable interaction. By bringing the problem to light, this guest is providing the business with the specific information needed to repair the breakdown and rebuild the relationship. A vocal criticism is an expression of trust that the business can and will do better. The silent guest, by contrast, represents an untraceable liability. To understand what triggers a vocal complaint, we have to look long before the guest arrives at the property. Expectations are set early, constructed from online reviews, advertisements, and word of mouth. By the time they step inside, they have entered into an unspoken partnership, trading their time and money for a guarantee of reliability and professionalism. This partnership is tested continuously through moments of truth, any interaction or touchpoint where the guest's perception of the business is formed. Small, consistent touchpoints, a prompt greeting, a spotless lobby, a quick check-in, incrementally build confidence that the business will uphold its end of the deal. But when an interaction goes poorly, the business violates that unspoken deal. This diagram shows how a complaint forms. The top line tracks guest expectations. The bottom tracks actual provision. They run parallel. When a failure occurs at a moment of truth, the provision sharply diverges. That empty space is the expectation chasm. The complaint they voice is the psychological measurement of this gap. It is their attempt to notify the staff that the unspoken partnership is out of balance and requires immediate correction. When a guest steps up to the front desk to report that imbalance, they present a specific problem. They state that they have been waiting 3 hours to check in, that their room hasn't been cleaned, or that their meal was served cold. It is highly common for employees to view these concrete operational errors as the entirety of the issue they need to solve. This 3D model segments a complaint. The visible top represents the concrete failure, like cold food, but a submerged section represents the psychological driver. This layer contains emotional motivators. A dirty room makes them feel uncared for. A long wait feels like being actively ignored. The volume, speed, and edge in a guest's voice are directly proportional to this hidden emotional layer, not the operational glitch on the surface. When those emotional stakes are high, even a minor delay or missing amenity feels like a targeted lack of respect for their time and money. Operational failures must be processed as emotional failures. The guest is reacting to the sensation of being disrespected, and that is what requires fixing first. Because complaints are driven by these emotional motivators, guests arrive at the interaction in a heightened, defensive state. The immediate instinct of the staff is to offer a rapid operational fix, providing a quick refund, discount, or replacement to end the interaction. Here is the required flowchart for resolution. It starts with step 1. Acknowledge emotion. Validating the guest's frustration allows them to lower their defenses and accept the practical solution in step 2. Bypassing this emotional validation to just hand over a refund will escalate tension. To correctly acknowledge these emotions, employees must possess the intuitive intelligence to read between the lines of how a guest communicates their frustration. This sliding scale shows how cultural backgrounds influence complaint styles. On one end, some guests demand blunt, direct interaction. On the opposite end, others rely on polite restraint, requiring an observant employee to proactively draw the issue out of them. By anticipating these cultural variations, staff can correctly interpret the true emotional motivator beneath the words or the lack thereof. Emotional acknowledgement is the mandatory bridge. Without it, the guest will never accept the practical solution, no matter how generous it is. When this two-tiered resolution framework is applied consistently, it produces a measurable impact on long-term customer retention. The hospitality environment is run by human beings. Systems break down, miscommunications will happen, and mistakes are an inevitable reality. Guests subconsciously understand that perfection is impossible. What they actually judge a business on is how elegantly and honestly it responds when a screw-up occurs. This dynamic creates a phenomenon known in hospitality data as the service recovery paradox. This graph maps guest loyalty. A standard journey produces a steady, unremarkable trajectory, the flat gray line. Upon a service failure, trust sharply drops. But with effective emotional acknowledgement, loyalty rockets upward, leveling out higher than if they never experienced a problem. The data reflects a core human psychology. The vulnerability of a failure, when met with genuine empathy and professional repair, creates a defining memory that overrides the initial mistake. Attempting to suppress or avoid complaints deprives a business of the opportunity to demonstrate this profound level of care. While a flawless service meets baseline expectations, an elegant recovery demonstrates a level of commitment that a trouble-free stay never has the chance to prove.